Hello everyone. So this is Shooter Fantasy, and today I figured I would just talk about, 2020 as a year and what it's like trying to get into the games industry in 2020. So I've been trying to get into the games industry for a long while, and I've, worked with clients, been paid by clients, made money that way. But the biggest issue with trying to freelance is that it's been largely unstable. Constantly having to find a new contract work and not being able to just stick with one thing consistently has been kind of tough. Especially when you're trying to, you want to make a living off of just making games. So my situation has been having to do things that aren't game development just to make sure that I actually have money coming in. So for the past year or so, well, collectively it's been over, 6 years-ish maybe, or around 6 years-ish. But I've been working retail for a decent amount of time, for practically half a decade worth of my life now. So, and that's how I've been, keeping a supplemental, income going on, just keep things stable. That way, if I have no contract work, I still have a consistent job that, even though it pays less than my contract work, it's still money coming in. So I currently make $11.95 Canadian. I think that's the minimum wage. Now I could be wrong. I don't keep track, but something along those lines. And then some of that gets taken away by income tax and then union dues. So because my retail location that I work at, it's part of a union. So income tax gets taken out of that, union dues get taken out of that. So, I usually just calculate it as $10 an hour, maybe. I've never done the exact math, but I always lowball my estimates, and I just assume, maybe I just take home $10 an hour. Just keep it simple. It's better to underestimate than it is to overestimate. But then when I do my programming work, I usually charge $20 USD, mainly because the US dollar is a lot stronger than the Canadian dollar, even with all the shenanigans happening, south of Canada. The United States dollar is a lot more stable still, even with the current worldwide situation. So I usually charge 20 USD. And so that'll usually fluctuate, I guess. When it gets converted to Canadian currency, it can be anywhere from $25, $26, $27 Canadian. But, US money has more value, so, I prioritize US money. However, if I do have a Canadian client, then that usually just comes down to $25 Canadian, no fluctuations because they're paying me indirect Canadian currency. For the most part, it's been tough to kind of get something that's full-time. Earlier in the year, that was something that finally did happen. The idea was, I think in February, I started a position that did 35 hours a week at $25 an hour. And, 5 hours shy of full time, but, it's an amount of money per month that I can actually live on. And that is, good. But then this stuff happened, right? So, let's see, what was I was also still working retail at this time, so I gotta pull out my good old calculator. Okay, so I was making around $3,500 a month from the one position, and then our contract work. And then for retail, I think at the time, let's just round it off to 25-hour weeks. It usually fluctuates. Retail doesn't give me consistent hours. It'll usually be however many hours they want me to work and as many hours they can fit me in with the restrictions I gave them. Okay, and then my retail job, I was making about $1,000 a month doing that. So making about $4,500 near the beginning of the year, starting February and March. So, you know, some of that money went towards, you know, me paying my rent, and then paying off some of my mother's debt. Cool. And, you know, in my current situation, that amount of money was just perfect. But then, sometime in March, things kind of started to go downhill. So, the pandemic comes, screws up the economy, and then now, you know, the people who pay me now have to, you know, worry about their own stuff, right? And understandable. So, you now get put into a situation where everyone is starting to get strained financially. Or my contract work gets cut to, you know, half or a little less than half. So it gets cut to like $1,500 a month. And then my retail position actually went crazy. We started having to I started getting scheduled maybe 27 hours, 30 hours at my retail position. But let's just say that, you know, I was making maybe $2,000 a month when that happened, once everything kind of started getting strained financially with the client. And then we reach a point where I think June-ish. I can't remember if it was June-ish, around June, July-ish. There's a point where, you know, this COVID stuff has strained everyone financially. The person who is paying me, you know, half my original hours, or a little less than half of my original hours, now they can no longer cover that. Understandable. This stuff sucks and has basically murdered everyone's wallets. So now presently I am just, my retail position is the only thing bringing in money at the moment. Sometime in September, I managed to find another client. Finally, you know, had a breath of like, oh, phew, I found another person. Great. I can make some money at this current point in time, and that'll be nice. And it was actually a pretty cool project. Like, I got to build like a Super Mario 64 styled character controller, or I was building on top of an existing controller. Some of these projects, I will be brought a code base that's already there that they maybe had some other people work on, and I get to, you know, add some more features to it. You know, one of them was a Super Mario 64 type deal, which was actually pretty cool. And I was actually hoping to be working on that for, like, you know, an extended period of time. Realistically, I think that only lasted like a few weeks. And I ended up getting cut off from that client, which it wasn't because of my work or the work I put out, which was interesting. I guess they felt like, my only interpretation is that they didn't like that I don't shut off, and that I like to continue working on projects. If I'm not working on one project, I'm working on another project. I'm always working on multiple projects because that's just how my brain works. My brain does not sit still. if you leave me in an empty room with nothing to do, I'm going to start just creating work for myself. That's just how my mind works. There's no such thing as me just sitting in a room doing nothing. My brain just is not wired that way. So I'm assuming they just want me exclusively working on one project, just their project, and that's just not... It's like one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, if let's say you want me to work on your project for 8 hours, I'll do that. But outside of those 8 hours, it's my time. And on my time, I'm going to do what I want, right? But I'm guessing they just want me to... They might have just expected me to work on their project and only their project. And when I finish working on their project for 8 hours, I just go play video games or something. I don't really play video games much, even though I make them. I just get very restless playing a video game for any longer than an hour or 2 hours. I would rather just be creating. But anyways, you know, I got let go from that client for not because of my work, but because I guess, I don't know. But anyways, so now we are November 2nd. I've been looking for more contract work to fill things out in the meantime. And right now it's just my retail position. And my retail position now has more people doing my job position. So that of course means fewer hours. And now I'm not making any money doing any kind of game development right now. So I'm not gonna lie, every time I look at my bank account, I'm not happy. I mean, there's people out there who have it way worse than I do, but I don't like looking at my bank account and having to worry about, okay, how am I going to cover my portion of the rent that I have here? How am I going to cover my food? Right now, I think I bring in about, just with my retail position, I'm getting anywhere from like 15 to 20 hour weeks, so, you know, I'm just gonna like, let's round it up to like 18 hours a week. And let's multiply that by like 10, because you gotta keep in mind, you know, union dues and income tax. So just times that by like a month. So right now I'm bringing in $720 a month. And so what I got, like, I think I pay like $70, or let's see here. So $720, and then we got like $70 for internet. That brings us to $650. Another, you know, $75 for my cell phone. Okay, that brings us down to $575. Oh shit. Okay. $500 for my portion of the rent. Honestly, that's not terrible as far as rent goes, but on $720 a month, that kind of adds up. Okay, that brings us to $75. And so that would leave $75 just for like food. So I've now had to become strategic with my money here. So here's what we do, right? I kind of need the internet, because I need the internet to continue looking for work and doing any existing work. I need the internet to communicate with people if I have any hope of, you know, securing more financial security. So I think this month I literally just let my phone bill lapse. I'm gonna hopefully that will still stay connected for a month or two. I don't know. Okay, great. Now I've got enough food to, I guess last piece of month. So, you know, pack of chicken. I usually buy a 30 pack of eggs. Eggs are fairly cheap. So, chicken, eggs, you know, a bag of veggies, and rice. That's usually been my diet for eating. I don't really do any eating out. I cook all my stuff by myself. So, yeah, by cutting out the phone bill for at least this month, I've got enough money to at least feed myself and cover my rent. So, okay. But it's cutting it really close. And, you know, I can't go too many months not paying the cell phone bill because that's going to come back and bite me. I don't want to be on, you know, the hook for that and have a collections agency chasing me down. Right now I have a few projects I'm working on that are rev share based, so they don't pay me directly, but I'm making zero money right now. So rev share is better than nothing at this point in time. And ideally some of these rev share projects pan out and they, you know, go back to bringing in money and I can, you know, be in a more financially stable position. But, you know, 2020 has been very stressful for everyone. It's not been an ideal situation for anyone. And, you know, it's something I wanted to kind of talk about. And kind of vent about because, you know, it's just tough, I guess. And maybe there's people out, and I'm sure there's people out there who, you know, can relate with my story. You know, just how drastically things have changed from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. The beginning of the year I was making like $4,500 a month. Now I'm at a point where I'm only making maybe $720 bucks a month. One thing I'm considering is maybe unrestricting my hours working retail, even though I'm only getting paid like $10 an hour there, or $11.95 an hour. But you know, once we talk about the deductions and stuff, let's just round it down to $10 an hour. So even though I'm only making like gross maybe around $10 an hour doing retail, it's still better than nothing. And I will probably have to consider, you know, just saying, hey, I'm willing to work anytime, not just the mornings. Maybe I'll get, you know, it'd be nice to just, you know, get 35 hours working retail. But then there's another aspect. I've been trying to get out of retail for a long while. My body just has not been keeping up with the pace in recent years. You know, I'm wearing like braces for my knees, my ankles, wearing compression socks. I've got braces for my wrists. I got compression gloves for my hands. All this, you know, compression gear and braces and stuff, just so I can, you know, stand to do that job. And even with all that stuff on, I'm just, as time goes on, I'm struggling to continue to do that job. So, you know, as much as like increasing my hours doing retail would, you know, help my financial situation, I run the risk of just feeling dreadful, just wanting to, not even be alive because my body's in pain. So then there's that aspect. And it sucks because I'm only like 24 years old, but I think genetically, like, my father has had carpal tunnel issues since he was 18. I have aunts who have had to get surgery because they have like nerve issues. So I think, just genetically, that stuff is just bogging me down. So like, I've got like hinged knee braces to try and like keep my knees from fatiguing too quickly and all this stuff. But retail with my position, it's a lot of walking. I'm not sitting down for very long. I'll go hours at a time walking, and I might get like a 15-minute break if it's a 5-hour shift. If it's an 8-hour shift, I get 2 halves, which, are nice. But even still, it's a lot of walking. So my joints are just not keeping up with that position anymore. When I first started, like my first year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, weren't so bad. I did eventually start getting, shoulder pain and a few repetitive stress injuries from my position. And I think in 2018, must have been 2018, I eventually quit my retail position in November. And I had held that position, or I had worked with a client for like at least 8 or 9 months. Eventually, the project we were working on it wasn't ready when we needed it to be ready. So, rather than put more money into it, because it wouldn't be profitable to keep working on it at that point in time, we wrapped things up, and then I was off to, look for more contract work, which, didn't pan out. Eventually, I racked up enough debt that I had to go back working retail again at the exact same place I worked at before, with the exact same position that I worked before. And I've been, working that since September 2019. So it's been a year working that retail position again, and my body has not been coping with the retail position that I'm currently working very well. So I've been, looking for a way out of that position for a while. Or at a minimum, refreshing the job listings page at that retail location I work at to see if there's any other position that's not the position I'm currently working at that I can potentially transfer to or switch to. But, I have not seen many job listings or any job listings that I can, switch to. So, yeah. So now I have to, I have to really look in the mirror and consider, well, okay, maybe this whole game development thing, like if this doesn't pan out in the next, few months, I really got to consider just leaving doing game development. I do need to find a stable position. It's probably not going to be possible with the current worldwide situation, but I do need to find something more stable. And maybe that just means me having to suck it up and learn web development, even though I don't like developing websites or touching any of that stuff with 10-foot pole. I might have to just suck it up, learn how to do it, and work on stuff like that. Maybe just find a regular 9-to-5 programming position if those are around, and start making accounting software and business applications, which my heart is definitely not into, and I would definitely dread it. But again, I gotta probably just suck it up and work a position that's stable and brings in money. Because I'm at a point where, passion can only bring you so far. There is a reality that you need to keep a roof over your head. And, I also got a plan, like, eventually, at some point, if I happen to find a person or a significant other, and I decide I want to have children one day, I need to have a stable position for that. I currently do not have that. I'm 24, and, 6 years from now, I'm going to be like 30, and That's when most people start having children and whatnot. And if I want to actually, you know, aspire to have any of that, I need a stable position by then. But even in the short term now, I need to make sure I'm, you know, covering my bills and not going into debt. But, you know, I don't know. I'm at a crossroads where reality and what I want to do are kind of, you know, at odds with one another. And I got to figure out what I'm going to do about it. So, I don't know. This is just me venting to a camera. Hopefully everything works out and this, you know, me doing this game development stuff pans out, everything pans out, and I can go full steam ahead with that, find a stable position doing game development. But, you know, in the meantime, it's just, you know, in the short term right now, you know, I'm looking at, you know, what I'm bringing in financially, and it's not enough to cover my expenses. And, you know, it's probably preaching to the choir for a lot of people, because I'm not the only person in this situation. There's been people in this situation long before this worldwide situation started happening, but, you know, it's shone a larger light on the situation and how bad the situation is, because more people are in it now. A lot more people are in it now. And if anything, if things do get better, especially for other people, that, you know, this just educates us on just how hard things are for people who have it even worse. You know, this situation has exposed a lot of issues with current government systems in Canada, in the States, and I'm sure many other places. And, you know, yeah. Heck, for me, it's probably even changed, you know, the way I'll probably ever vote in the future. Just seeing how broken things are. But yeah, that's it. I'm rambling at this point. So, if you enjoyed this video, or, you know, you found it insightful, or you can relate to it, you know, like this video maybe. If you want to keep up with future content, which does not usually talk about stuff like this. I usually like to talk about game development, show off some of the stuff I'm working on, what have you. You know, feel free to subscribe if that sounds interesting to you. And if you want to keep up with my future content and be notified of it, feel free to click the bell notification icon. But with that all said, I'll see you guys next video, or live stream. Yeah, I do those sometimes. Yeah, I'll just see you guys next time.